Greetings, fellow scientists. I am Dr. Way.
Salutations, young lab technologist. I am Dr. Yah.
And we once again thank you for joining us as we go mad for the gospel. So today, our story, we're going to talk about 10 guys.
Yes. 10. And
10
these weren't 10 like regular guys. In fact, these guys, they were like kicked out of town. They had to go live outside the city.
What did
you know
they
why?
do? What did they do?
They were sick.
Oh,
That's it.
they got kicked out of town for being sick?
Yep. So I'm going to read you the story.
Oh.
And the story comes from Luke chapter 17, and it says, as Jesus was traveling, he met 10 lepers.
Ooh.
Do you know what a leper is? It's not an animal with spots.
Nope.
They are men that had leprosy. And leprosy was a really bad disease. And it would like cause really bad sores all over your body. You know how you scrape your knee and you get a scab?
Yeah.
They would have that like all over their bodies, but it would be like way worse than scabbing your knee. And it was so bad that they were kicked out of the city. They had to go outside of town to live. So their bodies were covered with sores, and they shouted, Jesus, please heal us. And Jesus said, go, show yourselves to the priest. So the 10 lepers left. And while they were walking away, something amazing happened.
Whoa.
All 10 of them were healed. Only one man went back to thank Jesus. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and he said, thank you. Jesus wondered where the other men were, but they never came back to thank him.
Wow. So you would think all of them came back to see them, because if you're saying that leprosy was such a bad disease, that you had sores and you just were uncomfortable, you didn't look good.
You couldn't even be around your family.
So yeah, if you got kicked out, you had to live outside the city like an outcast. You couldn't see your family. You were probably very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you would think it'd be like itchy and just painful.
So you think if like you got healed of this, could rejoin your family, could go back to the city, could resume normal life, you think you would have ran back to say thank you to Jesus like the one guy did.
Super excited. You know, I mean, you would be so excited. You couldn't wait to say thank you. You couldn't wait to show yourself off to your family and friends. Like, I think the excitement would just be really big, you know, so you would just be really happy.
So the takeaway from this story is to make sure that we're like the one guy and not like the 9 guys that didn't. Because everything we have comes from Jesus.
Right.
Healing, forgiveness, love, mercy, grace, everything physical that we have, our houses, our homes, our families. So we need to be mindful of the one guy who came to say thank you to Jesus, and not like the other 9 who just kind of ran along their way. Jesus did the same thing for those 9 guys, but only one person came back to say thank you.
Yeah.
Even Jesus wondered where were the other 9. Like, I did the same thing for all of you. Hello.
Yeah. And just like our parents tell us to use those magic words to say please and thank you, it's important that we remember to do that to God too.
Yeah, because without God, we're the outcasts. We're outside that city. We are ugly and full of sores and oof, man. So yes, be like that one leper who came back to say thank you to Jesus. So speaking of, it must be time for science experiment. It is science experiment time.
Speaking of science experiment, our water has been sitting out all summer, and our little beakers are becoming their own science experiments.
There's like a film of something growing on here.
This one has some marks. Our little beakers are becoming their own science projects.
Maybe we can take the mold and go under the microscope and try to see. But that's not today's science experiment. Today's science experiment is way more fun than examining mold. So for today's science experiment, you are going to need, this is going to be green on the green screen, so sorry. You're going to need a can of Sprite or club soda or tonic or something like that. That's
some bubbly, clear.
A bubbly, fizzy, kind of clear liquid. You're going to need a jar to pour that into. And then
it's best if it's clear, too, so that you can see what's happening.
Yes. And then you're going to need 10 raisins.
Why 10, Dr. Way?
Because we are going to represent the 10 lepers.
Ooh.
Yes, 10 lepers. So, all right, so what you're going to do is open the soda or tonic water or whatever you have. You're going to pour it in your jar. Wait for it a little bit to settle, just because there's a lot of bubbles in there. All right, now that you've got that in there, you're going to take your 10 raisins and drop them in. And watch closely what is happening to them as you drop them in. I know, did you see it?
Can you tell? Can you see them moving?
Okay,
They
so
start off on the bottom, but then if you watch,
can you guys see that?
they pop back. Oh, look at that one right in front.
Yeah.
They pop back up. So they kind of start at the bottom, but then they're floating back up. They're almost like dancing
They
because they
are.
kind of go up and down.
They're dancing raisins. Any of you scientists know why this happens? Do you know why this happens, Dr.
I
Yah?
don't. I would love to learn.
So we are going to talk about gas today.
Oh boy.
Yep, I said it, gas.
Not that kind of gas.
Nope. Carbon dioxide is what we are talking about today. So what happens when you pour the soda in? It's a fizzy liquid, right?
Mhm.
In and of itself, it has a lot of bubbles. But when you put the raisins in, initially they sink down to the bottom. They sink right to the bottom. What happens is those bubbles from the gas start to form around the raisin, and as they can, gather around each other, they get enough bubbles to float the raisin to the top of the surface. So then you see them on the top of your jar. Now, do bubbles last forever?
No.
They don't. So as the raisin comes to the top, the bubbles start to pop and the raisin goes back down to the bottom to gather more bubbles, to go back up again, to pop, to go down, to go, and it can go on and on and on as long as you have fizziness.
Yeah, I don't know if you can
In
see
your
them
jar.
still going. There's a couple of them that are going down, and then they can pop right back up.
So why are we talking about dancing raisins today? Do you know?
I don't know, but they look fun. They look like they're having fun. They look excited. They look like they're,
Yeah.
it's a fun little thing.
It is. So the reason we have dancing raisins today, and 10 of them, is because these are like the lepers who were so excited that they were healed. They came, well, only one came back,
Only
but
one
they
came
were
back.
so excited. They probably ran to their families
Yeah.
to show them and to say hi. So just like these guys are dancing and excited in the jar, so were the lepers who were healed that day. But let us remember to be like that one leper who came back to say thank you to Jesus. Well, all right, so I'm going to be like these raisins and go be joyful and dance around.
Ooh, yes, let's be.
So you guys have a great day, and thanks again for joining us as we went mad for the gospel.
See you next week.